Welcome to part 2 in my series on reviving this Mercedes 1979 450 SEL. We did part 1, we did the complete underbelly inspection, and I have to say I'm impressed. I think the car is definitely worth saving, but, and this is a big but, we want to do a couple other things before we get carried away just throwing money at the car. Now I've started my list of things we're going to have to do, but as I encourage people, when you pick up these old cars, one of the first things you want to do is determine the health of the engine. I talked to my friend who just bought this car from the previous owner. He's the one that actually brought it out of the long-term storage. And these are some of the things he did to the car. He did the brakes. You already got to see that. He went through the fuel tank, changed fuel, and got the engine running. New flex discs, center bearing carrier, and the climate control. He installed one of those electronic climate controls, got rid of the old servo. Look at that over there. That's special because that is not inexpensive to do that. He powder coated the wheels and he bought the brand new tires. Now my friend who's driven the car a little bit said, oh, there's some things not quite right. He's a little concerned about the power or lack of power. He's also concerned about a lot of suspension noises. Seems to shift okay, but the fuel economy is lousy. You can't expect real good fuel economy out of these old 450s, but you probably should get better than 12 miles per gallon. So back to what we want to accomplish in this part. We want to determine the internal health, and let's see what's going on inside this engine. First thing you have to think about is vacuum leaks. I'm poking around a lot of these vacuum hoses, and look at this one here on the distributor advance. It just fell off. So a lot of the vacuum hoses are old and kind of rotten. That's where you want to start. The other thing is fuel injectors. These nylon housings are all cracked. I assume the seals are bad. So that's the first thing. You want to really go around the top of the engine, make sure that you replace all the vacuum lines and try to eliminate any vacuum leaks. After that, you're going to be looking at mechanical issues like stretch timing chain, ignition timing, and so on. Keep in mind that this car is 47 years old. And what we found on this engine is very typical of any of these old cars that have been sitting that long that are over 30 years old. Let me show you what we just replaced. This is so typical, I just had to show this. We've got ones that have hardened and lost their ability to grab. We've got ones that are rotten. We've got ones here that are split on the ends. So if you have one of these situations and you're getting low vacuum, the first thing you want to do is go through and replace all the vacuum hoses and vacuum connectors. And when you're replacing all those rubber vacuum hoses and connectors, don't forget about these hard lines, particularly the ones that run up along the top of the engine. Due to heat, they get very brittle. Okay, so these will just break away on you when you least expect it. So get some hard line as well when you're rebuilding your vacuum system on your old V8. We also took the brake booster hose off, plugged it, and ran it, because this can be a big source of leaks. Now I think we have a mechanical issue because we've checked for vacuum leaks. We may have some minor leaks in the injector seals, but we did check those. So now we're looking at valve timing, compression, worn camshafts, ignition timing. I decided to demonstrate something that will make you a believer in the importance of ignition timing on these old engines related to vacuum. So I've loosened up the hold down for the distributor. You can see I can rotate it. Now watch, we're going to start the engine. I'm going to rotate the distributor, change from advanced to retarded timing, and watch the change in vacuum. Look what happens when I retard it. Look what happens when I advance it. Just from that simple test, I don't think the timing is going to be the problem. We've got something else going on here. Now we're going to look at a compression tester. I really encourage people to do a compression test on their engine before they spend a lot of time putting money onto it, because this is really going to show you whether or not your engine is approaching end of life, all right? So we're gonna hook up the compression tester. In this video, I'm not gonna do a full compression test because I've got videos on my website that are included with my tester that takes you step by step through the entire process. We're gonna spot check the engine and we're gonna check 2 cylinders. I wanted to show you this before I actually crank the engine over. We pulled the spark plug out, look at that. Now, if this were oil soaked, I'd be concerned, but this spark plug has been burning clean. Notice I have this compression tester hooked up to number 3 cylinder. You want to make sure it's tight in the spark plug hole. The other thing I've done is I've pulled the fuel pump relay. You do not want the fuel pump running while you're doing these tests. So pulling the relay will shut the fuel off. So we're going to go ahead and crank through 5 compression strokes. Let's cross our fingers and see what happens. Oh, 155. That's excellent, particularly considering the age of the engine. Square, and we're rolling. We're on the other side. We've got it hooked up to number 6 cylinder. Okay, let's crank. 152. 152. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and complete the compression test off camera, because I don't need to show every single one. We'll just report back what they are, and then we'll talk about what the next move is with this engine. I always like looking at spark plugs when I pull them for a compression test, because you're looking for whether or not they're burning properly. You're looking for excessive oil consumption. Now, I forgot to point out in the previous scene that the owner had replaced these spark plugs. That's why they look so good. But the car has driven enough that if it were burning oil, we would see it on these tips, but this looks great. So the compression test is complete. I'm happy, the owner's happy. All cylinders range between 148 and 160 PSI, and that's really great. Now, the important thing on a compression test is all the cylinders should be within 10% of each other, and of course, this engine passed the test. Now, in the next part, part 3, we're gonna focus on safety issues. So we know we have a good engine. The core of the engine is healthy. Now we want to talk about safety. In part 3, we're going to address fire prevention.